Valley weekends on News Center 19.
The Tornado of '89, presented by News Center 19.
November 15th, 1989, a tornado touched down in Huntsville. The storm first hit here in southeast Huntsville, then moved on into Madison County and on into Jackson County. The storm only lasted for about 30 minutes, but the death and destruction it left behind won't be forgotten for a long time. The tornado of '89 is blamed for the deaths of 22 people. Hundreds of others were injured, and as many as 1,000 people were left homeless. Here's a look at what happened when the tornado struck.
Started raining real hard, got real dark real quick. All the stories you hear about sounds like a freight train, I mean it all applies, it really does. Just started going. The windows of the building let go, the walls let go, the ceiling let go, it just all came down. And that's all it was.
They have portable lights set up here now. Within the last 2 hours or so, the search has really gotten underway, and it has been a situation where they will continue to work tonight as they hand-pick through some of this debris to make sure if anyone is there before they bring in the heavy machinery and they begin to move some of this debris. Behind what used to be the shopping center is the Westbury and Waterford Square apartments, and a number of units totally destroyed.
It was total devastation at Jones Valley Elementary School. The storm moved quickly and left a lot of damage behind. Students inside were pushed into a closet as a part of a regular tornado drill. That action saved many lives. But one person was killed, an adult in a vehicle outside the school. The car apparently flipped over several times and landed in a field across from Jones Valley. That is the only known death in the vicinity. Those who were in the building when the storm came through said they had little time to react.
I grabbed as many children as I could and pushed them in the closet. Dirt, glass, everything was coming. We had no idea the tornado was coming. After it hit, after it was over, I lined the children up and sent them down here. We do not know how many children are out, and we do not know how many children are still left in. I think there was about 30 or 40 children still at extended day.
Most of the students escaped without serious injury. 5 were transported to the hospital with cuts and bruises. What happened? What did you hear?
I hear wind blowing, and then I fell on a chair, and I got stuck on my shoe.
And I think that young boy's remarks and face says it all. They're not going to forget this night.
Right now, we're going to roll a videotape that Bransby Productions gave to us earlier this evening. What you're going to see right now is some videotape that was shot moments after the tornado touched down at the intersection of Whitesburg Drive and Airport Road about 4:30 this afternoon. This video shot just moments, less than a minute after the tornado touched down. This is inside the Winn-Dixie grocery store. As you can see, quite a few people injured. Thank goodness we had no reports of fatalities coming out of that store. Right now, let's check back in with Joe Valley, who is standing by live at the intersection of the Parkway and Airport Road. Joe, I understand that you have Errol Davis, one of our photographers, there with you, and I understand that he actually helped in the rescue.
Yes, he did, Jerry and Chris. We're going to talk to Errol in just a minute because he and photographer Greg Stone were both there. We can report more grim news just within the last half an hour since we talked to you. 2 more bodies have been recovered from a dry cleaning store in this mall.
When I got out of the car, Joe, and I turned on my light from my camera, and that's not just all cars and people scattered everywhere. I know we saw one fatality, a guy walking up, a guy was just laying there. People were trapped in cars. One lady was completely turned over in her car, and she was just in the mud, and they couldn't do anything because rescue guys hadn't gotten there. Other than that, there was one lady wrapped around a pole, and the police were knocking out the windows trying to get to her. She was just folded up like a fetus almost, and she was really hurt in there. And there were just people were just scattered everywhere. I never seen nothing like it before.
You found yourself leaving your photographer role to help out, didn't you?
Yeah, I kind of, you kind of feel bad. You just don't want to just take pictures. You want to, you just felt like we had to do something, so we just started using the battery light to help the rescue guys see the people and see how they can get them out of the situations they were in.
Darryl, there's a picture of some of the folks who went hand by hand taking a look at the different areas. That's the Waterford Square apartments. You were over there briefly a little bit, I think, more so in the shopping center. But you saw that tonight, people taking great pains to make sure what they were looking at.
Well, one time, as you can see here, you got the rescue guys going through the rubble looking for any kind of sign of life. And right there in front of the GoPro place, you can just see where the cars have been picked up and thrown over in the middle of the store. And one while they were just wondering if anybody was still trapped inside those cars. But most of the cars, somehow the people seem like they got out of the cars. But it's just a miracle that it's not as bad as it turned out to be.
It is incredible. You talked about power. Some of the cars they pulled up tonight, flasher lights were still going, horns were still going. We heard some of that. And they were careful to make sure that there was no one in some of those automobiles. We're going to hear about a lot of stories over the next couple of days. Some will not be good. Others will be a very happy, fortunate ending. And we hope we can tell more of those. Jerry, Chris?
The next morning, November 16th, Thursday, was really the first chance anyone could see what kind of damage the storm had actually done when it moved through the area. We pick up our coverage now with our Skycam 19 aerials to show you the path of the tornado's destruction.
As the sun comes up in the morning, you can see for the first time the devastation caused by the tornado when it touched down shortly after 4:30. Huntsville's new garbage to steam incinerator plant, the first hit by the storm. It then moved on toward Airport Road and the Parkway. Waterford Square apartment complex hard hit by the tornado when it touched down, as was Southern Junior College. This is flying toward the east now on Airport Road, what used to be Westbury Shopping Mall. Gold Road, Big B Drugs in that area, along with a state liquor store. Quincy's Steakhouse, there on Airport Road, hard hit, as was the Crestwood Medical Professional buildings. A lot of doctors' offices heavily damaged by the tornado, records strewn all over the place. Coming up to the village on Whitesburg, Winn-Dixie, hard hit by the storm. Flying now toward the east at Whitesburg and Airport Road. We're now flying over the old Whitesburg Drive-In Theater there at the corner of Whitesburg and Airport Road. It looked like the storm lifted up when it went over Garth Mountain and then came back down on the eastern side of the slope where it then hit Jones Valley Elementary School. Some say it appears the twister sat there for 15 seconds before moving on toward the northeast in the Greenwick community. Tony Drive in Jones Valley hard hit by the twister, as was the entire neighborhood. Some of the houses leveled, some of the roofs taken off of others, and some homes were untouched. Faith Presbyterian Church, hard hit by the twister when it moved through the area about 4:35. Got a relatively new building at that facility. Whitesburg Shopping Center there at the corner of Airport and Whitesburg received quite a bit of damage too. Trinity United Methodist Church, in the process of building a new sanctuary that was devastated by the tornado. You see some of the roof gone off of the old sanctuary area. Holy Spirit Catholic School and the church, both receiving major damage. The sanctuary at the church, coming up on the screen right now, the roof just taken off of the building. The Westbury Shopping Mall, heavy cranes brought in from all over the area to lift the rubble, the twisted iron, so that the search for victims and possibly survivors could continue. News Center 19 photographer Keith Lowhorn going up this morning with WZYP's Commander Dave to get these pictures of the devastation caused by the tornado. Waterford Square apartment complex, as you can see, concrete slabs. That's all that's left of some of the buildings right there on Breckenridge Drive. This is flying back toward the east now, looking at what is left of Westbury Shopping Center. Colonial Bank there on the corner of the Airport Road intersection. What used to be a Chevron station, strewn with debris and cars. Holy Spirit Catholic School there on Airport Road. The gymnasium just demolished.
Information is still coming in to the Emergency Management Agency. This is the place all damage, rescue, and cleanup is reported. Mayor Steve Hettinger met with Congressman Ronnie Flippo here at the headquarters this morning.
Well, I called the White House last night about 11 o'clock and told them that I was certain that you'd be having a request and the governor would be having a request come so they could be prepared for it. We have some buildings, spotty buildings, totally destroyed or seriously damaged in these areas. But the two yellow areas you see are very, very severely damaged. This area here contains apartment complexes, a shopping center, two shopping centers, one across the street from each other. Both of those shopping centers are no longer with us.
But the realization of the mass destruction can only be experienced by a first-hand look.
Unbelievable. Yeah, since they cleared it out,
Cleanup operations continue with hundreds of volunteers removing the debris so the area can begin to rebuild.
we want to get everything back to normal in a matter of days, that way. Fixing homes and everything, that'll be a long time.
The tornado jumped over the mountain, or went over the mountain, over Garth Mountain, and down into Jones Valley. Rudy, what's the latest?
Jerry, photographer Errol Davis and I have seen a lot of the damage here in this subdivision, and there's quite a bit. But we stumbled across an amazing story of survival. This house behind me was in the direct path of the tornado, and you can see that it's been practically leveled all the way down to the foundation. What's amazing about this story is that a family was in that house, and all of them survived. And that family, these people right here, Deborah McKay and her 3 sons. Deborah, what was it like when you were going through this?
Well, we didn't even know a tornado was coming. The power had gone off, and we went after candles. We had just lit some candles, and one of them blew out. So we went into our den, and while we were trying to get it lit, I opened the sliding door. And when I opened the sliding door, usually when you open the door to the house, the curtains will pull outward. Well, nothing happened. It was just as still and calm as can be. And about that time, I heard the rumble. And people say it sounds a lot like a train. It sounds a lot like a train going, like those little plastic things you see in the road where you go thump, 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 thump. That's what it was. And I screamed at my boys and told them to run and get into the bathroom. Well, my oldest son went into the master bathroom. I grabbed my 3.5-year-old and my 8-year-old, and we ran to the bathroom, and I opened the bathroom window. And then I opened the sliding door to the shower looking for him, and he was not in the bathroom.
He was in the other one.
He was in the other bathroom. So I immediately grabbed the 2 little ones, and we ran to the other bathroom. When I got there, I opened the sliding shower door, and he was in there, and I am just been blessed that the glass didn't break in my face. I went and opened the window in our bathroom, and when I lifted the window up, the blinds and everything started sucking out, and I screamed at my children to throw themselves down, and they hadn't even made it into the bathroom yet. We made it into the hallway, and I fell over the top of my 2 boys, grabbed their heads and fell down over them, and it lasted, I would say, like an eternity, but it seemed like maybe 30 seconds. And then we were just buried under doors and dirt and insulation and everything. So then we finally pulled ourselves up, and we thought it was coming back. So we got back under. Matter of fact, we had knocked over doors, and we pulled the doors back over us again. And I hollered at him, and he said he was fine. I said, well, stay still, because it sounded like it was coming back again. And then we stayed there for a little while, and then finally got up There were wires all over the top of us. We were afraid we'd get electrocuted or struck by lightning, and then we immediately left and went for refuge at a neighbor's home.
I want to point out again where these people actually were. You can see basically rubble except for a small standing structure. That's the bathroom. That's where these people were. It's amazing. Let's talk to some of the children here. What was going through your mind when all this was happening all around you?
Well, I was afraid that I would be suffocated from all the dirt, and that was my main concept. And then I saw the door, the walls caving in, and I was standing still, and that was my second fear, that I would be trapped under that thing and I'd die.
Okay, and here's a little one right here. Come here and talk to me for a moment. What do you think about all this?
I wanted to be just a clown, because my clown clothes are all gone. Because I don't know where my toys are.
They're all gone.
Yeah.
It may be a while before 16-year-old Terry Lynn Frazier leaves Crestwood Hospital, but right now that's not a problem. Just 24 hours ago, she and her friend Toby were hanging on for their lives, trapped under tornado debris at her demolished Waterford Square apartment.
From what I've been told, we were buried under 15 feet of rubble. I think that if the ceiling hadn't fallen on me like it had, I probably would have been crushed and killed. So, the tragedy that my leg is in such bad shape is good because it saved me.
Today, those hospital workers who helped in the treatment of the injured experienced the calm after the storm, settling back into normal activity, but still remembering the devastation.
For a period of 3 hours, we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 patients who were processed through the emergency department.
Police officer Paul Smith in Humana Hospital with a broken collarbone and 3 cracked ribs considers himself lucky. When the tornado struck, he was right in its path at the police K-9 unit on Old Airport.
That was the first time I'd ever been in it. I just laid down the floor, closed my eyes, and just I said to myself, one thing about it, usually it don't last long. When I came to, we was out there hurt. I don't know, it probably wasn't too much long.
Betty Whiteley in Crestwood Hospital was also caught in the storm's path.
You know, I guess I had to. I don't know. It seemed like 30 seconds, maybe. Just to say a quick prayer. And then it just hit. It was absolutely horrible. Everything was hitting me from all sides. It was like, it was just a nightmare. I'm so scared.
We're continuing our team coverage now. You know, much of the attention has been focused on the tornado damage here in Huntsville.
But as Dick Curtis reports, the destruction didn't stop at the city limits.
The backside of Huntsville Mountain is one of the last places the twister hit before heading out into the county. At the base of the mountain, it smashed into a house on Broad Armstrong Road, killing 68-year-old Della Buford. It then skipped over the next hill, toppling large TVA towers, knocking out power for miles. Along Dug Hill Road, more trees snapped. Then it touched down again on Highway 72 East. Sam Gravel was in the State Forestry Building when it hit back of him.
I started looking out the window, and the wind began to get high, and so I closed the blinds right quick and ran for the hall, and that just after that, it's just high wind, and you could hear things hitting and breaking and popping and that sort of thing.
Nearby, County Commission Number 2 Equipment Storage Complex was all but leveled. Again, the tornado took to the air. This time it pounced on residents along Salty Bottom Road. This was Jackie Isbell's place.
You had decorated for Christmas already, huh?
Yeah, sure did. We was going to have a wedding, and that had been decorated for the past week, and it's all gone.
So many people that didn't make it. Our little granddaughters, there's 3 of them up there. They come so they had clothes to put on the day.
After a tornado hits, there's little left to save. The folks along Salty Bottom learned that when they awoke this morning. Like the Isbells, Reba Harris lost everything.
So what do you do now?
That's a good question. I don't know. There's not much left to do anything with. Been 10 years that baby's cold.
Neighbors in the northeast part of the county didn't waste any time showing up, lending a hand, lending a shoulder. And like the tornado victims in the city, the victims in the county won't ever forget the terrible sounds when the tornado came.
Stairs, we come up to the top, it was so black you couldn't see anything, and every window was whistling, you know, just like that they were cracked or something, you know. You could hear just a roar and whistling at all the windows. And then it just got real cold.
And the wind got real bad, so we turned around to go get in my storm pit. On the way back, he picked my truck up and moved it off the side of the road. Started up the driveway, and there was just 2x4s and timber laying everywhere, and I knew what had happened then.
Even though the Shoals escaped being hit by a tornado, high winds did damage some homes there when the weather system passed through that area.
As News Center 19's Bill Irwin shows us now, most of the damage was in northern Lauderdale County.
I think that's the only one you got to call on. It's the Lord when you see something like that coming at you.
And even though her home was heavily damaged by yesterday's storms, 74-year-old Myrtle Bell considers herself lucky. So do a lot of other people in the Shoals. Even though they lost their homes, they escaped injury when that line of storms moved through.
I'm very, very lucky, very fortunate. You can build houses back, but you can't bring folks back.
The family that lived in this mobile home knew there were severe weather warnings out. They saw the storm coming. They ran for a storm cellar. It's a good thing they did. The mobile home was demolished, their possessions scattered. What are you doing today?
Trying to clean up some mess.
What are you going to do?
I don't know what.
Cleaning up is the order of business right now. Putting things back together will take a lot longer.
We're very, very fortunate. I feel very compassionate for those people in Madison County and Huntsville and wish them the very best, but we again missed the bullet.
Bill Irwin, News Center 19 in Lauderdale County.
Where are you from? I'm from Madison.
Carthage.
Northeast Huntsville.
Southeast Huntsville.
Here at the American Red Cross, blood is coming from in and around the city of Huntsville, and each pint is greatly appreciated. And believe it or not, there's even some debate about who makes the better donor.
Y'all don't stand for one man make better donors. Auburn. Why? Why? Because we have more courage, stamina.
That's not true. Alabama fans do better donors because their blood running red.
Oh my. That's hard to beat.
Blood donations are the only ones coming in. Today, a $5,000 donation from Vulcan Materials, an employee-based project, and a $10,000 donation from Bruno's. The money is in $25 increments. The certificates can be used at both Bruno's and Food World stores. As you may have guessed, there is good news to report from Christmas charities.
Hasbro toy company called me a while ago, and they are sending us new toys that we will be able to give to the tornado victims, and they are sending us some extra toys that we will be able to give to families that we help all the time.
Many relief agencies agree that money is the only thing in short supply, and they're hoping that financial donations will pick up soon. Teresha King, News Center 19, Huntsville.
Ford Parks was back at the office today.
Yes, the golf course coordinator.
Believe it or not, fielding request for tea time.
I'm sorry, our course is closed. We're going to be closed for an indefinite period of time.
Yesterday, Floyd thought his time was up.
Looked out the front door, and I saw the tornado coming. Kept getting bigger, so I ran back in and opened the office door and crashed down behind the desk and pulled a chair over my head. And then the building exploded. It was down in the corner here.
Floyd's buddy and workmate, Randall Scott, still can't believe it.
Well, I really didn't know it was here by itself. When I got home, the phone was ringing, and he said, "We just lost the golf shop." I'm just glad he wasn't hurt.
We had the golfers on the course, but I'd gotten rid of them.
Golfers on the course?
We ran them off about 15 minutes before the end.
And they were arguing with you again?
Oh, they wanted to play.
Touring the course today shows why no one will play here at Muni for at least a reported 2 to 5 months.
Perhaps to best illustrate the fury of the winds here on the Municipal Golf Course, if you can take a look at the pro shop and then imagine several hundred feet behind it, that's where this Dempsey dumpster was. It's now here in the middle of a fairway, almost a half a mile away. Some figures had it as high as $250,000 to $1 million worth of damage. Is that pretty safe to say? That would be close.
Are you telling me that? But not nearly as close as Floyd Park's experience.
I can't describe it.
If you weren't religious before, I bet you are.
Yes, definitely.
Harold Bly, News Center 19.
In its wake. Of course, in the aftermath of last night's tornado, there are a lot of stories that are worth telling, and so far most of them have been from adults.
But what about the children, the ones involved directly? The many others who have watched the news and are wondering about this disaster. Steve Johnson files this report from Whitesburg Elementary School.
On the surface, a normal school day at Whitesburg Elementary. But the day at this school, just a mile from Airport Road, not ordinary at all.
This place I go, I see kids in little huddles talking about what's happened, teachers in huddles talking about it, kids talking to teachers, teachers talking to kids. No work is being done today, except I think we're just doing some, maybe a little healing, a little talking about it, trying to understand what's happened.
And part of that trying to understand, watching the news coverage. And for these youngsters, hearing the stories of their classmates.
And then the light went out, and then we were walking to look out the window, and the house that burned down, I tried to hide behind the staircase, and the staircase fell on me, and I slid about 10 feet, and the whole house slid back. The tornado started coming by a couple of seconds later. Then there's some more things, like my mom's earrings fell off and all this stuff, and she lost her purse, and it was wild.
What about your little brother? I understand something happened to him.
Yeah, he was up in the air fine, and Petey, this
Really?
guy...
I mean, he really was up in the air when the tornado passed over?
Yeah, he wasn't major off, he was just floating a little bit. I was kind of picked up, and then my friend Pete, he just pulled me down by a leg real hard.
And the tornado picked you up?
Yeah, it just blew me away.
Were you real scared when that was happening? Was it real scary?
Very.
You think about it, does it bother you?
Yeah, it bothers me because when it gets dark, I couldn't sleep last night. It just made me scared.
How about your classmates? Have they been asking you about it? Has it helped you to talk about it?
Yeah, it helps a lot.
They're all very thankful, and we've all been hugging one another all morning. When I went to pee this morning, they all stopped and hugged me on their way out. Makes us all love one another a lot more.
17 confirmed fatalities right now, and
Well, Chris, there are some new developments here tonight. The rescue efforts, the search and cleanup efforts have been ceased for tonight for a number of reasons. Number one, of course, is this bitter cold that has hit the Tennessee Valley today. The temperatures dropping throughout the day, and it is bitter cold tonight. You can see some light ice or snow falling. They have decided that they would come back tomorrow at daylight and start these cleanup efforts again. So the only people that we have here on the scene at Westbury Mall are law enforcement officers and Huntsville firemen, and they will remain on the scene, according to Chief Hugh Luna with the Huntsville Fire Department, until they are convinced that there is absolutely no one, dead or alive, left in this debris down here. We've told you about stories. We've told you the tragedy. We'll tell you more, I'm sure, before this newscast is over with. Let's start off with one piece of good news today. Shelby Gwynn is at her home saying today is a better day.